Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The important news and editorial that will be relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 22nd of March. The first important news, that is Rajasthan passes the right to health bill. Rajasthan has become the first state in the country to pass such bill. Second, panel pulls up railway for excess expenditure. We'll see the detail, the concern raised by the panel. Third, panel to moots ways to bring Indian startup. The second last, that is Indian economy likely to keep pace of expansion. And the last is an editorial, a grave mistake in the Nicobar. So we'll be discussing in this editorial about the development project which was passed by the ministry. And there are a lot of concern that is coming out of this project, right? We'll see the detail with this editorial part. Apart from this, at the end of the session, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful for examination purposes, do press a like button. And all aspirant who's looking forward for the test series, which is both for pre and mains, we are providing you intricate test series which will comprise of 30 tests for prelims and 8 mains, that is for all India test, followed by a test on PYQs, current affairs, CSAT and full length test. You will be also getting free IS Gazetted magazine, the one-stop solutions for current affairs, free mentorship, and flexible date will be there as per the aspirant requirement and needs. So I've provided a link in the description section of this video where you can redirect to the page and read further and buy this course. So do check it out. Now starting with the first news, that is Rajasthan passes right to health bill, something important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic of General Studies, that is welfare schemes for the vulnerable section of the population by the center and the state government. So Rajasthan has become the first state in the country to pass the right to health bill. And the Rajasthan Parliament has passed the bill which is named as Rajasthan Right to Health Bill or RTH Bill. So something very important, specifically for prelims and many other government examination that you'll be appearing for. The bill provides for right to health, access to healthcare for the people, specifically for the state of Rajasthan, because it was passed by the Rajasthan Legislative Assembly, and this is specifically meant for the people of Rajasthan, the citizen of Rajasthan. The state is becoming a model state where they're investing close to 7% of the state GDP, that is called an SGDP, in the health sector. Again, something very important. And at this juncture, after COVID-19, I think this is essentially required to put more impetus and focus on the healthcare sectors. Now, what are the provisions under the bill? So first, if you talk about right to health bill, which is there, it called for free healthcare services at clinical establishment and to the resident of the Rajasthan government, basically the Rajasthan. The bill certain obligations, create for certain obligations on the state government to ensure right to health and maintain public health. No healthcare provider said delay the part of the treatment on the grounds that it is receiving a police clearances and police report. See what happened when you meet any accident. You need to first report to it to police. After the police clearance, only the hospital authorities will take care and admit you to the OPD or wherever necessarily required, right? So the bill categorically say that you don't need to wait for police permission. You can simply proceed further with the treatment procedures. Now, what are the treatment that will be provided, the free treatment facilities that will be provided? Some of them has been specifically mentioned by the government that include accidents like snake and animal bite, which is very common in the state of Rajasthan, followed by any emergency that will be decided by the state authorities. Treatment without prepayment of any requisite fee. There will be no requirement to have a payment of the requisite fee. And the healthcare establishment at designated healthcare center, which is qualified to provide treatment, will accordingly be liable to admit the patient. Now, the government of Rajasthan will categorically come up with the details of the list of the disease that will be there, right? Now, what are the constitutional provision when we are discussing right to health? अगर बात करें right to health की, so something that is important for you to know that what are the constitutional provision. Although this is a state government bill, but you need to understand from the constitutional perspective, right? So, according to this particular bill, it provides protections to fulfill the right and equality in terms of health and well-being of an individual. Now, when you see Article 47, which is a part of the directive principle of state policy, we call it directive principle, and it says that the state to raise the level of nutritional and standard of living to improve public health. This is a part that is specifically mentioned in the constitution. Then we have Article 21, which is specifically called for right to life, but if you elaborate it, the interpretation goes to right to health as per the expanded definitions of the right to life and personal liberty. Now, with the decision of the Rajasthan government, with the passage of the bill in the Legislative Assembly, there is agitation by the private doctors. Definitely, private players are making a lot more money with the healthcare sector. Now, the passage of the bill has been commented by agitations by the private doctors, and doctors are agitating despite the fact that their suggestions were accepted and incorporated in the amendment bill, because this bill, which was passed, has been given to the Parliamentary Scrutiny Committee. After the recommendations, only the final bill was approved. So there's no point of agitating again. Now, moving to the other news, that is parliamentary panels to pull up railway over the losses that was incurred. Something important for general studies paper 2, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. Now, parliamentary panel has slammed the Ministry of Railway for their excess expenditure on the original allocations that was there, and the parliamentary panel has categorically said that this has become a regular phenomenon for Ministry of Railway to incur the extra expenses, which is creating a budget to the exchequer. Now, this is a drastical fail that the net revenue of Indian Railways has been there, and this is what the Parliamentary Standing Committee, agar baat kare PSC, this was upset with the intention, with the part of the expenditure that was made by the Indian Railways. Now, there's a performance record which has to be there, because Parliamentary Standing Committee will definitely take everything into record. So the railway has recorded a negative growth. This is a negative net growth of 15,024.58 crore rupees. And the demand grant which committee has observed for the part of the downtrend is expected that from 2014 to 15 it has increased by 8.20%. Specifically, if you're writing in mains paper and you get a chance to highlight this point, make sure you quote this. Now, what was the stand by the Ministry of Railway? अपने stand में ministry ने भी कुछ बातें कही हैं that what has led to the high expenses and high loss of expenditure. Even it says that due to sharp rise in the staff cost because of the implementation of the 7th pay commissions, right? So 7th pay commissions की अगर बात करें, this was like central pay commission, which is there, we call it CPC. In 2016, it was actually implemented, and which has led to the loss of a huge amount. And even there's an adverse impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, where mostly the railways were not functional. So, right? Only the part of the transportation and logistic and the freight railway was only functioning in the country. Now, the committee, the Parliamentary Standing Committee, has categorically noted some recommendations. They have said that the railway should has an institute remedial to measure the leakage that is there in the reverse train. And it should also plan the revenue model where it can create some values, right? Railway has planned to reverse this and set a target for net target of 2,393 crore rupees. The committee has said that the way to monetize things should be there. So railway should incorporate the part of advertisement or hoarding. आपने कई जगह पे देखा होगा रेलवे स्टेशंस पे भी आजकल एडवर्टीजमेंट आपको मिलेगी. Even monetize the surplus railway land and setting up of ATM at the railway stations, which will call for a lease part and ultimately paying rent to the railway. So these were some of the recommendations to monetize and create revenue from the resources that is available. Now, panel moots ways to bring India startup, something important for general studies paper 3, that is Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development, right? So the International Financial Services Authority has formed a committee that is designed to a roadmap where they'll be looking forward with a roadmap for the Indian startup in the gift city that they have not domiciled with the other nations. Now, the expert committee is headed by former Reserve Bank of India Executive Director G. Padmanabhan, right? It's to identify and its concern. Now, startup in India की अगर बात करें, it's India in terms of scaling. So India has a world third largest startup ecosystem with 115 unicorn that is there. And the further estimated for the startup is valued at 44 billion in 2021. India's startup has 44 billion in 2021, over 33 billion going towards more than 5 billions. Now, what are the solutions that need to be looked upon? First is that a constituted expert committee need to formulate a roadmap जहाँ पे ये देखी जा सकती है कि innovations कैसे गिफ्ट सिटी IFC की जो cities हैं उनमें incorporate की जा सके. Even it is expected to submit the recommendations within 3 months, including the representations of the ventures, capital fund, startup, fintech, law firm, tax firm, as well as other domains expert. Now, moving to the other news, that is Indian economy likely to keep pace for the expansion, something relevant for General Studies paper 3, that is Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. Now, RBI ने अपने लेटेस्ट बुलेटिन रिलीज की है और उस बुलेटिन में कैटेगोरिकली कहा है that the global economic recession will not impact India, right? And the pace of expansion for Indian economy will move ahead. Even to the larger extent, अगर COVID-19 के बाद रिकवरी की बात करें, India is moving ahead, right? And RBI has noted that the emerging pandemic has made things, even post-pandemic, we have recovered in lot many sectors, but the momentum is on the pace which is expected. Now, GDP growth and forecast की अगर बात करें, the current available forecast for the GDP is 6.0 to 6.5%. And for the fresh geopolitical context में अगर देखें, कुछ important issues है जिसे समझने की जरूरत है. Like Russia has suspended the participation in the new strategic arm reductions, right? So this will call for more Indianizations. Even if you see, India is a country which is looking forward for Indianizations of the equipments, the military equipment, which will call for less, pressures on the exchequer and the foreign direct, even for the past of the forex reserve that is there. And Indian equity market in the second half of the February will have a positive sentiments. Now, global banking systems की अगर बात करें, we have seen that the US Fed has definitely, their part where they are restructuring their policies, which has an impact on Indian economy. So, global banking system has raised concern about the macroeconomic stability across the market, and even the collapse of the US in the first half of the March is rippling the financial market in the country, and specifically not for India, for many other countries. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, a grave mistake in the Great Nicobar. We'll understand the developmental project which is ongoing, relevant for General Studies paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation, and EI. So what are the issues under this editorial? First, we talk about the theme, that is concern for Great Nicobar Development Project. We'll see the aim of this project. What are the quick clearances? Why it was so early given clearances? Concern, environmental threat, tectonic sustainability, and the bottom line. We'll see some geographical point of view concept as well, so that the things become more relevant to you. Now, in the recent time, not exactly recently, last year, like what has happened, that Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has cleared the diversion of the forest land for the development of the project in the Great Nicobar, right? And the project is estimated to cost around 72,000 crore rupees, which has already received the environmental clearances for the development project. Now, this project was initially backed by Niti Aayog, जिसने propose किया था एक pilot project को, which called for Andaman and Nicobar integrated development project. और उसकी जो proponents थे, जो पक्षधर थे, that was from the development corporations. Now, the point is that why the government is coming up with a development project which is not environmental suitable. This is what the expert has raised the concern. Now, understanding more about this, what was the aim? The first aim was for the holistic development of Nicobar Island. But just to remind you, if you're writing, be neutral and say that a developmental cannot continue with compromise to the environment. Environment के compromise में किसी भी तरह के development को करने की जरूरत नहीं है. The international transship, that is 1.4 to 20 foot million equivalent, जिसे TU कहते हैं, कार्गो कैपेसिटी बनाने की बात की गई थी गैथेला में इन द आइसलैंड ऑफ द साउथ ईस्ट कोस्ट. और TU की बात करें, TU is a unit which is used for measuring the cargo capacity. Now, international airport बनाने की बात की गई है with 4,000 passengers that will be there in the area of Great Nicobar. जो पूरी development project है उसके part में was to build a part of the cargo capacity. This is the first part. Now, the second was to build the airport, and third is to have a solar power plant of 450 MW. An ecotourism township. This is the fourth one of 160 square kilometers, right? And this is something that call for a multinational corporations and the million tree tropical rainforest destroying the part of the coral reefs. The quick clearances दी गई इस project को, if you see when it started in 2020, right? The progress was there for the free trade zone transitions, which is located about 1650, that is 1650 kilometers from Chennai, and 40 nautical miles from the international shipping route, right? Now, in this context, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change की जो एक्सपर्ट कमिटी है जिसे EPC कहते हैं, EPA actually EPC, that is Expert Appraisal Committee, they have initiated the process for environmental clearances, and this was also contacted with the Hyderabad-based Vimata Labs to come up with the EIA, that is Environmental Impact Assessment. So what government has come up with the recent rule, अगर किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट को कोई इन्वायरमेंटल एरियाज में बनाई जा रही है उससे पहले उसकी इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट करनी मैंडेटरी. Now, the ministry placed the draft EIA report in the public domain and comments for discussion, and after this, a clearances was given. A denotified shows that the union government is keen on implementing the project. So everything was done with a quick process. Now, concern that Great Nicobar has a population of 8,000. And once the project is completed, it will attract more than 3 lakh people, which is equivalent to the current populations of entire 1,000 square kilometer chain. And there's a concern with regards to the ecological and environment, which will be disturbed due to urbanizations, and even terrestrial biodiversity will appear which will call for a serious consideration. So there are many concerns when it comes to the development specifically in the eco-sensitive zone. Now, what are environmental threats? Definitely, there are environmental threats. The 900 square kilometer area of which is declared as the biosphere reserve, which is including in the UNESCO MAP program, that is Man and Biosphere Reserve program in 2013. This should not be touched upon, right? इस तरह के project को government के redevelopment projects में नहीं डालने की जरूरत थी. Now, 3/4 of the designated tribal area, which is there on the Nicobar, is protected under the Aboriginal Tribal Amendment regulations. And the development project will end up destroying the vast stretch of coral reef, which is again a major cause for the marine diversity losses. Now, tectonic instability, bit geographical concept which is relevant for you. Even if you are a aspirant having optional as geography, then you can even use this. So Great Nicobar की अगर बात करें, it will close to the epicenter of 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake, which displays the sea floor by 10 to 20 meters vertically, right? So vertically replaced हुई है. And EIA report suggests that the Great Nicobar is close proximity in the Ring of Fire. The tsunami 26/2004 is clear demonstration with the prone of the natural disaster, right? And repeated up and down movement of the land in response to earthquake has made Great Nicobar unsuitable to develop for the port city. Something very, very important point. There can be a direct question in the prelims examination from these points. Now, how to conclude this? What are the bottom line? So, in a country like India, where the role of where India specifically advocate for the conservation, sustainability, green development, this type of development project at the environment sensitive zone must be not concluded, must not be coming up, right? And as dampen the unsustainable development, जो इंडिया की एक कोर एसेंस है, जो टारगेट्स है सस्टेनेबिलिटी को बढ़ाने के लिए, वो इसके अगेंस्ट जाती है. एंड इवन द फॉर्मुलेशन ऑफ ग्रेट निकोबार प्रोजेक्ट विल डाइल्यूट द एनवायरमेंटल लॉ टू part of the executions. The ecological zones and the ecological and environmental cost of the project in the area is known to impact the marine life, terrestrial biodiversity that has to be set. So we need to first understand the damage that is there in the longer run. What are the damages that will be there Definitely there will be, first the population problem will be there, then again there will be loss of marine lifestyle and the part of the ecosystem and the terrestrial body which is there, right? So everything need to be, thorough studies, and even it called for a lot more experts opinion before this program would have actually been implemented, right? So in the longer run, government should refrain from building up the project and completely dilute this kind of provisions which is there. Now, moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is B. Today's MCQ for practice: new umbrella entities on retail payment. Only those entities that are owned and controlled by the citizen of India are the part and promoters of NUEs. No foreign investment in allow in the existing guideline under the part. Now, the second is electoral bond. All nationalized bank in India are authorized to issue in-cash bond that is validated for 15 days from the date of issuance, and these bonds are remittable at the designated bank account of the registered political parties. So you have to check for the correct option, which among the following is correct one. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. We have a lot more other content that is there on the social media platform and even on the YouTube playlist section. Do check it out. This all initiative will help you to sail through the journey of civil services. And I thank you for watching this video.